My name is William McDowell, and this is Voices. One question I get asked a lot is, why do you record a live project? And the answer for me is simple. A live project captures atmosphere. A studio project captures songs. And there's nothing wrong with capturing songs. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but depending on the declarations that are made, there's something about capturing the atmosphere of when God begins to move in a room and people respond to him that can't be captured any other way. It can't even be captured that way in any other genre. There's something about gospel, there's something about worship in which when you capture people responding to the living God, where they lose self-consciousness and become God-conscious, that's a sound that is unique to our experience. And so it is an honor to be trusted by the Lord to capture that sound. In this particular project of mine, the testimonies that were captured, particularly of people who were healed in the room, one lady who was healed of paralysis, another lady who came up out of a wheelchair, another family that was healed of a brain-eating amoeba, more people in that family healed of a brain-eating amoeba than in the combined history of the United States who have lived beyond that sickness. That had to be captured in a live environment. And so that's why we do what we do live, in order to capture what it sounds like when self-consciousness leaves, God awareness comes into the room and people respond. On this particular live project, telling some of these testimonies, we, over the past few years, have seen hundreds of miracles. And during the live recording, we were able to highlight a few of those that have happened where those people were actually in the room. Those people were the actual evidence of the power of God. It caused an eruption in the room. And as people are watching that particular video on YouTube, it's causing a stir around the world of people's faith rising to believe that God, our healer, is still healing. The song we do is called Still Moving. The declaration is he's still moving, still proving just how great he is. For us, the title of the project is called The Cry, and it has a multiple significance. Number one, God responds to the cries of his people. That is the basics of it. God responds to the cries of his people. In addition to that, once people experience him, that's their response as well. But for us, there's a particular song. The title song is called The Cry. It has a refrain in it that says, "We won't stop until we see it," which is part of our cry. It comes out of 2 Kings chapter 13, where the prophet Elisha has an encounter with the king, and he tells the king what to do: take an arrow and shoot out the east window. This represents a victory that you will receive. And he tells him, take the remaining arrows and strike them against the ground. And the king strikes the ground 3 times and he stops. And Elisha gets angry with him and says, you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, then you would have had complete victory. But because you struck it 3 times, you only have 3 victories. And the question is, why would Elisha become upset with the king about not striking the ground more than 3 times if he didn't tell him how many times to strike? And that's the answer. He was to strike until he was told to stop. So we have taken the posture that we won't stop until we see it. We won't stop until we see complete victory. We won't stop until we see a global move of God. We won't stop until we have all that God has for us. So that's our cry. We won't stop until we see it. One of the things that we endeavored to do in recording this project was to create faith through testimony. We believe that testimony creates faith for the future, but that future can be now, the moment that you hear it. And so one of the things that we do in telling the testimonies that we do is to raise our level of expectation. I believe that the Lord is delivering this generation from low expectation, causing them to believe again. And as we are delivered from low expectation, that stirs something in us, because the scripture says that those who put their trust in the Lord will never be disappointed. And so that's one of the reasons why we have to be delivered from low expectation, to believe that God will do everything he said he would do. So the point of this is that as you hear it, not only are you invited into an experience, but it awakens a place in you that causes you to desire to pray, that causes you to desire to believe, that causes you to desire to see the things and that you are hearing about, that you are watching. And so that's the point of this, is not just so that that you would like it, but so that it would stir something in you, almost a righteous envy on the inside of you, the kind of thing that would make you jealous of what you hear enough to cry out for it yourself so that God can give you what he intended to give you all along. I am so excited that you have the opportunity to hear what God has been birthing in me and in our congregation, was put on our heart. It's called The Cry. It has my name on it, but it's our church's story. What God has done in us for the last 3 years had to be captured and told in such a way that we can invite other people in on it, because we could not keep it to ourselves, literally bursting so that the whole world could hear it. It's called The Cry. It just came out. It is more than a recording to us. It is literally the record of our story, and it invites other people in on it, so that if anything happens to us and we're no longer here, you will know about a God who moves. You will know about a God who heals. You'll know about a God who delivers. You'll know about a God who literally, tangibly wants to be among his people. It is captured on The Cry in a way like no other recording we've ever captured. I can't wait for you to not only hear it, but to experience it. It's called The Cry. It's available digitally and in stores everywhere.